7.
And so you know that there are situations where people have not participated in any promotion, but somebody calls them and tells them that, oh, you won a promotion, and then, people then also fall for that. So it's not as if they know that you even, have a reversal. Because in some cases, they talk about calling from GRA, and we know that this reversal processes, GRA is not involved in it. GRA would only get to know when at the end of the month the charging entity has filed all the people who have asked for refund. But they call either purporting to be calling from GRA or purporting to be calling from any of the charging entities. And unfortunately, a few people might fall foul for it. And we all know that when it comes to the reversals, if it's a reversal, which is or a refund that is originating on an on-net transaction, that is all the transactions that have happened on the same EMI, when they run their end-of-day report and they find out that some of the charges are not correct, they will do the refund or the reversals themselves without the prompting of the person who sent the money. But if it is something that has happened across network, off-net, then it will require you, the person who sent the money to yourself, but have been the levy have been applied to you, to initiate the call to the charging entity from which you send the money, provide them your ID on the other side, and then the transaction ID. So in all these cases, it is not the entity that is going to do the refund or reversal for you that would place a call to you. So once you get that call, immediately you should know that this is a fraudulent call. And what we would say to you is that immediately cut that particular call, call 100 or call 41 and report the number that actually has placed this call to you.
Okay. But Ken, talking about the reversals and talking about by end of day, we know when we started the implementation, we had these challenges. Are we still going through these wrongful deductions 2 weeks after the implementation?
No. So what has happened now is that you find out that, all these other deductions, levies that, were not done, most of them have been fixed. The only one that is still persisting, and which will persist till we get to July, is the fact that we're doing the modified phased approach. So for the entity that is you're transferring from, he will not see the other network who owns that particular, whether it's a wallet or it's an account number on that particular side. You only see a number. So it is only for that minority transactions that people will do to other, from one EMI to another EMI, which might be belongs to them. Because if you do a transaction from yourself to a bank account you own, or from a bank account to yourself, and there are bilaterals with them, you if it is to yourself, it's treated almost like an account. So that is not a problem. The challenge is the minority where I might be on Airtel Tigo and I'm sending money to myself on MTN or to Vodafone Cash or to ZPay or to GPay, Gmoney. Those ones are the ones that you need a common platform to be able to interrogate what is happening on the other side and then be able to say that based on the ID, it's the same person. That is what is persisting now. So to a large extent, most of these challenges that when we started have been done, most of them have been fixed.
Okay. So apart from these ones that you talk about, because we're implementing a modified phase, for instance, so from, same account on different platforms, making it difficult because you're not in a common platform, have all the other wrongful deductions been refunded to the persons?
Yes, so the refunds, I would have to check and say whether all, but majority of those that we started with, the refunds have been done. Refunds are going on, and that happened. The only refunds that will still be, might still be subsisting is if you had sent the money and you had not made the calls. But for all those who have made the calls, if you take the SLAs that exist for the time that the checks would have to be made, refunds have happened. So that I can say for certain.
Right, stay with us, Ken. I want to bring in Mr. Isaac Kobnamwako of the GRA. It's good to see you again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you too.
So E-levy has been going on now for what? We're in the second week, aren't we?
We just started.
Yeah, pretty much.
Today is
Yeah.
9th.
Okay.
So we've done 7 days plus some days.
Okay. So the telcos have you started seeing the money? Has it started?
We've
coming?
seen it. At least we've all seen it on social media. Some people have posted their refunds, the text message.
No, I meant has GRA started seeing the money?
Okay, you mean seeing the
tax,
goodie?
The tax, yes.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And it's interesting. It's nice. I mean, from where I sit.
From where you sit, it's nice.
How nice
It's really
is it?
nice. Very nice.
Explain this niceness.
We started on Sunday, it's a holiday. The Monday was a holiday. The Tuesday was a holiday.
Yeah.
And the letters we sent to the charging entities were that after every 48 hours, they should send us the money.
Yeah.
So our first money should have come on, I think, Tuesday. It didn't come.
Oh. Okay.
So then we went to Wednesday. Then we saw some making attempts. So the way it works, you go onto your taxpayers portal as a charging entity, and then you raise a tax bill. So the tax bill is more or less raising an invoice,
Right.
which is an intention to pay. So on Thursday, we went on our internal system, our tax application system, and then we saw the invoices there.
Okay.
And then we collated the invoices. As at that time, it hasn't hit our account yet, but the intentions were there. So we collated those figures. So as at close of day Thursday, we had a number of the top 20 charging entities. And one of the charging entities, which own more than 70% of the population, we saw his tax bill. And I started smiling and clapping because it was good.
How much was it?
It's in excess of 1 million.
Okay.
For just one charging entity. So my prayer is that when the other charging entity like the banks come on board fully, I'm going to be smiling more.
And the 1 million was for one day?
Yes, a single day.
A single day?
Yes, from one charging entity.
Wow.
Yes. So you can calculate from first, if every day, assuming all things being equal, the same charging entity should just be sending 1 million. I'm not adding the others because theirs are a bit smaller for me. So I'm adding only that of the major charging entity, 1 million every day.
Was that what you anticipated?
For me, sitting at the project, I think it's beyond my expectation because I wasn't expecting that amount.
Okay.
So if it continues like this, you expect to hit all your targets?
I haven't done the mathematics yet, but I'm just using one charging entity as 1 million, assuming all the others are not paying. It means that if I go 30 days, I'm getting 30 million a month from just one charging entity.
Okay. Now let's come to what's been happening. GRA, are you aware of this challenge where some persons, impersonate your staff to defraud people?
It has come to our notice, yes.
And what have you been doing so far?
That is the more reason why I'm here. It got to our attention just like yesterday, and I'm here the following morning. So you see, we are moving at the speed of light to tell the public that they should disregard such calls. And I believe today we may send a notice out, an official release telling the public that they should disregard such calls. GRA would not call you to assist you on the reverse house. It is purely in the hands of the charging entities, especially going by the modified approach. The interface of the public is between themselves and their charging entities and not GRA. So we won't come in directly on this modified approach. Yeah.
Are you making any efforts to work with authorities to apprehend those behind these schemes? Is there a plan in place?
I believe you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Doc has told you there's already a system in place. Why bring another system? Whenever you encounter such problem, the first thing you do is that you report it to your charging entity or report to the reserve number the NCA has made available, the 419. You either send a message to the 419 or you make a call, and that number that called you put on a dashboard that other charging entities would be told that this number is trying to defraud. So a comprehensive system is in place already. We encourage the public to use it.
I know about that system. I'm asking about plans to apprehend and prosecute those behind it, because what that system does is it prevents that number from being used, to defraud others. But I'm talking about identifying and apprehending those behind it.
I believe that one you are talking to the wrong person. That is not the mandate of GRA. Another state institution, I believe, will pick it up. Once
people are impersonating your staff, is GRA not interested in?
We are interested in letting other institutions that have the skills to do it. So I believe the police CID is there. I believe all the other relevant state agencies, once we make a formal complaint to them that this is what is happening, they should be able to pick the data.
So you have made a formal complaint?
As I said, we got it yesterday. Today we are here. We would be issuing out notices and those kind of things will be done here.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, you're here. So that means you want to talk to your customers.
Yes.
What is the message?
So, as I've already reiterated, that if you receive such a call from anybody purporting to be coming from the GRA, we advise that you ignore it. Don't only ignore it, also keep the number and report the number to the charging entity, and also report the number to the common number that is visible out there, the 419. It's easy to remember, 419. So you send a text message with that number that called you onto the 419 platform, and we believe that should help apprehend those involved.
So let me get to Ken Ashigbe. Now, Ken, so for these persons who have been complaining, I'm sure they may have, told you about the numbers. Have you been able to identify, the accounts into which these, withdrawals were made into and the persons behind it?
We picked up were attempted cases. Mm-hmm. There are attempted cases of these calls coming up. And so what we, as Isaac is saying, is that we're talking to the general public and asking anybody who has, either fallen victim or had any of such people attempting to defraud them, to report it. And once you report it to the 419, what then would happen is that on that portal, the fraud control dashboard, we have the police cybersecurity crime unit on the particular portal. We have the Bank of Ghana on. We have the Cybersecurity Authority on. And so we will not discuss all the issues about how they would go about doing their work. But the security apparatus are on the portal already. They would see these things. And then with the right authorization from the court, they'll be able to get call records. And they would be able to find those who are involved, and then the necessary actions would be taken.
Okay. Let me just come, in studio to you also here, Isaac Amako. I am sure you've heard of lots of panic withdrawals. You've heard of people who have talked about how they intend to ensure that they just do not pay the E-levy. From your point of view as Ghana Revenue Authority, what do you say to these people?
Thank you. So on the panic withdrawal, we've managed to convince people that there's no need to withdraw your money from the platform, especially when they've been convinced that cash in, which is a form of a deposit, is not affected by the E-levy. Cash out, which is also a withdrawal from your account, is not affected by the E-levy. And also, if your money is sitting on your wallet and not doing anything, you are not affected by the E-levy. We are in collaboration with the Mobile Money Association. Last week, we were supposed to organize a session together. It was moved to this week. I believe by this week, we would have that engagement. They are also talking to their members to convince the public that if you have your money on your wallet and you've not done any transfer, the E-levy doesn't affect you. So people should still have confidence. And we've been taking data from the charging entities to see whether the narrative out there that people are doing panic withdrawal is supported by the data. We are yet to analyze the data from my team to see whether there is any trend. But I believe Doc should be able to talk to it if they've seen any trend. But from our end, we don't think the transactions are going down. People are now getting to know that, okay, they are not going to be affected.
There are some videos making the rounds. People are advising each other on how to not pay the e-levy. There's one video in particular with a gentleman who says, look, cash in doesn't attract e-levy, cash out doesn't attract e-levy. So if you want to give money to someone, just put the cash in and then give your number and PIN to the person and allow cash out, and the person can go and take it out. Let me ask you, is that tax avoidance or tax evasion?
It will be avoidance, but the good thing about those things is that in this day and age, data is the king. So as part of our engagement, we will get the charging entities to give us the data. We would analyze. If it is not something that is scalable, that means not so many persons on the platform are engaged in it. You can just close your eyes on that.
But if it becomes a widespread activity, then what?
Then we will take an action that will probably seek to prevent that. Technology abounds currently that you can notice that trend happening. So if really it is going to affect the gains we are making, I believe there would be a counter measure such that it doesn't affect the platform. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me bring Ken in at this point. So, Ken, you talked about the processes that people can go through in order to have a refund or wrongful deductions reversed. Could you go over it again so that people can know how to go about it, particularly those that they have to call you and make a complaint?
Okay, so what has to happen is that once you send money to yourself on another platform, which is not linked to yourself, so it's not like your bank account linked to your mobile money, where the charging entity then would know that you are the same person. Then once you send that and you see the notification and there's a particular levy on it, so you call the charging entity. So once you call the charging entity, you provide the ID on the other side because they have the ID on where you sent it from. And then you send your transaction ID as well and also the levy that is involved. So they will take that data and then they will do their checks. And then once they satisfy themselves that you are the one, then they would do the refund to you. That would be a refund.
Talking about satisfying themselves that you are the one, how would they satisfy themselves? What would they consider in knowing that you're the same person?
So it's basically the ID you've given to them, and they would and the ID can be any of the ID types. And so it will be based on the information on the particular ID that you've given to them. And that's why if you look at GRA's directive that it gives, the onus is on you making that particular claim. So if they take that particular ID and based on the match on that, a percentage of the match, and they agree that it's you and they do the refunds to you, and GRA is served the data of all refunds that have been made. And GRA does a verification and finds out that Kenneth Achigbe had claimed that this was himself, and they find that it was false, then Kenneth Achigbe will be liable for prosecution. So that's why we also are forewarning all of us that before you make that claim, make sure it's a genuine claim that you're making. Because of the fact that the common platform is not available, what then happens is that it's only on the basis of the ID you provided, information that is on there, that they will use to make the match and then be able to make the payment to you. So the onus is on all of us. And GRA definitely, I'm sure by now, once they get the data, they will be testing that. And I'm sure they will be coming to a few people who might have not done the right things, and the necessary penalties will be exacted.
Talking about ID, should it be the same ID on both accounts?
No, because now you've not finished, the same registration has not been done. The directive that the Commissioner General gave, all the national ID, so you might have used your Ghana card to have registered on the charging entity from which you're sending it, but maybe your passport is what you used on the other side. So those are the information. You provide what is on it. At this stage, it's not just the Ghana card, so it might not necessarily be the same ID.
Right. I recall you mentioned earlier that this particular issue might persist until July, when the deadline for SIM card registration and indeed reconciliation of bank details
it's more the connection to the common platform. So by the 1st of July, we're all supposed to have been connected to the common platform and tested and be live. Right. So by that time, then the charging entity would speak to the common platform. The common platform would then speak to the other end and then be able to do the verification that is actually the person on that side.
So, Mr. Amwakun, what's the progress on the common platform? Where are we?
So right now that we are having settlement on the modified approach, our next phase is to call all our stakeholders, and then we start the testing. We were going to do what we call UAT with the charging entities when the plugs were pulled. So probably next week or so we would send them
the plugs were pulled.
The plugs were pulled that we shouldn't go the common platform. We should go the modified approach.
Right.
So we halted. So we would go back, do the UAT, do the stress test, so that we should be done before 1st July.
Okay.
In terms of testing the systems. Yeah.
That's a very useful update. In fact, we appreciate you spending the time with us this morning, bringing us all up to date on this. Mr. Isaac Kobna Amwakon is the head of the project unit at the GRA. We have Ken Ashigbe, who joined us, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who joined us over the phone. He, of course, is the CEO of the Telecommunications Chamber. This is an ongoing conversation. It doesn't end here. There'll be more out there.
And we're told that on Thursday, the GRA will be here to address all the concerns.
Oh, okay.
People's concerns about the E-levy.
That's wonderful. That's good. So that's on Thursday. Right now, though, some messages from our partners. We'll be back after these.
What would you do if you have the choice?